Hello everyone, this is CommanderColson with the FORGEHUB video team, and today I have a little aesthetic map for you. I'm going to show you guys how to make some of these assets that I've used here to make this little backyard skate park. Let's go ahead and begin with the quarter pipe. This is a very simple thing to create, and I only used ring 16 64 by 64 by 16 quarters, colored them red, and then put these cables uncapped on top to make coping. Coping is what skaters grind on when they go up a quarter pipe. The color for this coping is gray 10%, and the primary, secondary, and tertiary metallic is turned all the way up to 10 to give it this real metal look. Next up we have the palm tree. Now hopefully we'll see actual palm trees in Halo 5's Forge at one point, but for right now these will have to do. The trunk is made up of pipes 2 by 8 by 2 with a color of brown and metallic turned all the way down to 0. For the green part, I have these support struts 8 by 1 by 2 simple that are the color apple green and also have their metallic turned all the way down to 0. Moving over to the fun box. This is made strictly out of primitive pieces that just have their metallic turned all the way down to kind of give it a more wooden look. But some of the little things I've done to give it a little personality is I've used more primitives at the bottom to act as a transition and turned the color to gray 50% and the metallic all the way up to 10. This is the part that is put in front of ramps so that when skaters come by with their skateboards, the wheels don't constantly weather away the edges of the wooden ramp. I've also given this fun box a siding by just using more primitive blocks that are colored black and just sunken them into the sides to get kind of a contrast between the top of the ramp and then the side of the ramp. This is also done to the little ledge over here, which is also just made out of simple primitive pieces. Moving on to the kinked rail, this is another very simple item as it's only made out of cable uncaps. You can determine what size piece you want to use for this depending on what size rail you want, but this is also just gray 20% with a metallic of 10. Next up we have the skateboard. Now this is a really cool little piece because you can actually move the skateboard. You can set it, you can go ahead and just weld all the objects and set them to normal. Those objects will be the railing heavy 1 by 2 by 4.5, and for the wheels, cable caps. If you just go ahead and bring them together like this, and then you would just select all the pieces and group them. Just go ahead and weld it, set it to normal, and you've got this little skateboard. Next up we have the fence. This is another really simple piece, but I've seen some people asking for fences, and since we don't actually have any yet, I figured I'd go ahead and show how to make these even though they're really simple. They're just a pair of railing bars 1 by 64 by 4.5, and once you set one up you can literally just duplicate them and you'll get this nice fence look. Now hopefully one day we'll actually get real fence pieces so that we don't have to use so many objects to create this, but for right now this is I think the best we have. Next up we have our little barbecue right here. This is once again a very simple thing to make and it's very light on pieces. The actual barbecue part itself is made out of a cover tech 4 by 4 by 4.5 with the base of the structure being a crate 3 by 3 by 2 UNSC small. These are both colored black and I believe have metallic of about 3, just so it has a little bit of a sheen but is not extremely metal. For the feet I just used more cable caps, but I turned down the metallic and raised the color to being more black rather than what I did over there with the coping and the railing. Next up we have our basketball hoop. Now, this is a really cool basketball piece. I've already gotten some slack about how the net right here looks more like a shoe rather than an actual net, but I personally think this works considering nets are also kind of difficult to make. The base of this basketball hoop is a van, and I just colored it black. This little pole part is made up of a column round 2 by 2 by 20. I made the primary color black, or gray 80, and the secondary color white, and just turned the metallic up to 10 on both the primary and secondary. Next up, I used more of these cable pieces. I'm sure you guys can tell now, I actually really like these cable pieces, to create kind of what connects the backboard of the basketball hoop to the actual metal pole. These, I think, are actually duplicated straight from the little barbecue over here, as they're just the smallest possible cable. They're the 1 by 4 by 1s uncapped, with a color of black and the primary turned up to 5 for metallic. It doesn't really matter what those are because no one really sees them. They're kind of more of a little accent piece. You're never gonna really be able to tell, like, ooh, that's that 10 metal, but it's all preference. For the backboard, I'm using a panel 1 by 8 by 8, and I went ahead and duplicated the panel to give it kind of this orange siding. The panel alone looks more like this, but by just duplicating this and changing the color and rotating it, you can go ahead and sink it into the backboard so you get kind of that red siding, just to add a little more detail and color. Now, what I used for the net, of course, is the Drop Pod UNSC door. This is colored primary white, secondary neon orange, and with a tertiary of neon orange. The primary metallic is 0, secondary 0, tertiary 0. I just thought it looked better than, this, because it makes it look all black and such. Next up, we have our little storehouse right here. Now, this is a really simple piece that I just whipped together. I'm sure there's multiple ways to do little buildings like this, but this is actually just a bunch of ramp pieces that have the color of, well, the pathway color. I'm actually not sure what the pathway color is. I think it's light brown, with a primary metallic of 5, a secondary of 7, and a tertiary of 9. What I really like about these ramp pieces, though, is that they naturally have a different siding. Like, notice how over here I had to make my own, just simply because I wanted a specific shape that I couldn't do with the ramps. But with these ramp pieces, they already have their own siding, which is really nice, and I actually wish we had some blocks like that. It'd be very helpful. Using that also makes this nice kind of roof, because you can obviously tell that this is more of a wood, whereas then the roof looks like it's made up of more of a metal on the sides. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you all have learned something from this, and I can't wait to see you next time. This has been CommanderColson, signing off.